You're listening to Gamers Wanted, a podcast where we talk to gamers about how gaming influenced their lives. And I'm your host, Derek. Thanks for tuning in. So first of all, I want to say welcome to Gamers Wanted, Sebastian. And for our listeners out there, can you give us a quick overview and background on upbringing and your current professional focus?
I started playing games professionally at 15. I probably started playing, as a kid, six years old. I remember, Need for Speed. That was like the first thing when I was real little. That's the first game I can like put in my mind. I remember Sega too and stuff, but I was like real young, 3, 4 with that. I remember my first like taste for like I want to be the best in the room I'm playing with the people I'm playing with was like 6, and then professionally it was like 15. Now I work as a consultant in the industry with my company, Gold Standard Gaming. We help companies engage gamers in a true, authentic way, so that they can really engage them with their brand and help them see how they're gonna enrich their lives as gamers, and we can bring a really authentic message to the demo because, quite frankly, we're from it. We were born in it, and I was certainly born in it, and I'm a lifer. So that's kind of like my whole feel as far as like gaming goes. But I'm just, as far as today goes, I'm just a Fortnite playing, excited for Kingdom Hearts, excited for DOA, kid who was lucky enough to work in the industry.
So how would you say gaming shaped your childhood?
For me, it definitely kept me, well, if we're being all the way honest, it definitely kept me in the house a lot.
Okay.
Definitely kept me out of trouble. You know what I'm saying? I grew up in at-risk area in Connecticut, definitely like around lower middle class, and just I feel like a lot of stuff. And my parents went through it, got separated when I was 15, right when I was going pro. So that was like a big deal for me because it helped me have a little bit of escapism. Then also it kept me kind of focused. I mean, it gave me something. It gave me something that I wasn't a great basketball player. I wasn't really super popular at school, but it gave me something. Xbox and Xbox Live and just the culture being competitive at something. It allowed me to experience that. It helped me want to be a winner in life. You know what I mean?
How did your parents feel about gaming when you were a child?
My mom, she liked DOA, which was like what I loved to play 24/7. She liked DOA because she liked the ending movies. They had these really cool ending movies that would like show the character in like super, super high res, like at that time, super crazy graphics, way better than the actual gameplay. Just kind
Right.
of like tap into their story and show like something dope or whatever. Classic fighting game formula. And she really liked that. So she liked that. And then it kept me in my room. They didn't have to worry about me. So she was always on board when I was younger. After I was 15 and getting a little older, for my dad, he like began to be a little bit concerned because, as I said earlier, that escapism, it looks different to the outside world. You're like in your room for 14, 15 hours. Like you don't want to do anything. You're off
Right.
from school for a week and you want to stay in from the moment you get off of school on that Friday, you got till the next week after next week, Tuesday. And those 9 days you sitting in the house and barely coming out just to eat and stuff. In '05, that just looked a little different. And my dad actually tried to get like therapy for me and stuff like that because he thought like I was crazy. I told him I wanted to be a professional gamer. That's like what I wanted to do. I'm walking around the house with my controller in my pocket and my headset on, and he thinks I'm like crazy. He thinks I'm like, he's not. He's like, yo, I have one of those kids. Oh my goodness, And I guess that's what they thought. They didn't know. It was early, right? It's like I was just lucky enough that it turned into something, but I was definitely real committed. Before, they both thought, hey, what is this? And, my mom being a woman maybe thought, okay, well, this is what he does. What can I do? And then my dad kind of like, oh my God, this dude is crazy. So I think now it's changed into them both respecting that I maybe had a little bit of luck or foresight on what was to come in the next couple of years or a decade.
Would you say that video games started as escapism for you? Is that the draw?
That's a good question. I don't know if it was. I mean, I really have to think back. At 6 years old, maybe yeah. I mean,
Okay.
maybe, right? Like
Okay.
maybe I always felt a slight little bit of black sheep from the kids outside playing football in the front. But I remember I used to like playing in the front of our. I say the front. You got me going back into my younger years, like the front. That's what we used to say about the front of the place. You know what I'm saying? The front of the projects we lived in. But like, yeah, they used to play football and stuff, and I used to hang out with them, and I had no problem. I'm always social and whatever. But I don't know, man. I just remember 2 games that we had with that PlayStation 6. It's kind of photographic, but it's like I remember Mortal Kombat 3 and I remember Coach K basketball. Like that was it, man. I just couldn't get my hands on them enough. I can remember it. Like I hated like when I had to go to bed and not play it. You know what I mean? Like I hated that. I like why? I just want to do this and dissect this all day. Like this is so fun. And, like I remember turning Sonic on for the first time and do 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 do. Like I just remember that. And I don't remember like just have more of it and enjoy it. I can't remember if it was escapism as much as I just loved it. It just felt right. It always did.
Would you say you grew up in a stressful environment?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, okay,
For sure. You know what I'm saying? Like definitely. You know what I'm saying? I love my parents to death, but they were kids who had kids and that creates things from their childhood that, is a cycle.
Right.
So I definitely found myself as an adult trying to break some things of a cycle that definitely I was a part of. And obviously that comes from having a stressful environment at home and things like that, but the gaming was definitely escapism from that. But I'd like to say that when I was using it as escapism, I didn't recognize it. But I do know there was a period at 15 when they split that it was escapism. I definitely was like when they was fighting and it was getting real crazy. Then I was definitely like, well, I'm just gonna go to my room like that. I don't even like I wouldn't even finish arguments at that point in my life. I remember like whatever. Xbox Live was still only like 4 or 5 years old, so it was still like a new thing to be like online gaming. So when we had that, and then we had the internet, if we could afford it, I was like, oh wait, I have this. I'm not gonna argue with you. You know what I mean? So definitely. But younger, maybe 11, 12, when I wouldn't have online and I was just playing my original Xbox. But whatever you had was the game you had. You weren't online.
Right.
You know I mean, we didn't have for high-speed internet. So that was before that was a utility, right? Like high-speed internet is a utility now. We didn't have that back then. You have an Xbox, you're playing offline. You know what I mean? You're playing Halo campaign or you're playing, you know what I mean? Those things. So unless you go to your friend's house. So in those years from between 6 and 15, I probably was just always like super into games and was escaping with them. But I feel like the older I got and closer it got to where my parents were going to split up and I would have to take a bigger responsibility, I definitely was like in a stressful environment and it helped out.
Now, do you feel like if you didn't have the internet, you wouldn't have been exposed to esports from a competitive standpoint? Did that aid your competitive journey?
That's a great question. You got some good questions lined up. It's a great question. I think for sure. I tell people Xbox Live partway made me who I am. You know what I mean?
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
Like Xbox Live specifically. And I say that specifically because everybody offers online. Nintendo has Direct, PSN, and obviously Xbox Live. But it should be noted through history that and Steam and other things had applications to get online before Xbox Live. But what Xbox Live was able to do was really find a way to make you as a player, when you turn your Xbox on, if you automatically log into Xbox Live, it's almost like walking through the front door of a party every time. Yeah, all the other platforms really brought you online, and it was just kind of like, okay, you're connected. Like, what would you like to do next? Xbox's interface really brought you in. I mean, they even re-rolled it out as the new Xbox experience, like a culture, and it worked. It worked, quite frankly. You had kids creating the culture, like, oh, well, okay, Derek, when you get online, our clan is NME. So like you have to change your gamer tag. Go spend $5 to change your gamer tag to NME Derek, right? Like that wasn't what it was meant for, but the culture got born. You see what I mean?
Right.
So it's like that comes from having an interface that services the users in such a way that was fantastic. And it definitely, it shaped because without it, I wouldn't have been talking trash and I wouldn't have had to find Dead or Alive Central. And then on Dead or Alive Central, I wouldn't have found where the tournament was at. And I wouldn't have jumped on the train 2 hours to Philly. And the rest was history. The whole career is history after that. But Xbox Live is where I was writing my first checks. I was talking cash. You know what I mean? and
Right.
just it was game changing. Headset, camera, whole thing brought it to where like, wow, like this is a real person. It's all the time you're not gaming with them and you're just talking till 3 a.m. about some stupid topic. You got school in 3 hours. That's when you
Right.
realize like this is real people. This is like real stuff. Like my man, damn, his baby mom is tripping, or his, you know what I'm saying? Like you just
Right.
hear stuff. Like you just like, this is like real stuff. This is real. So then you're building these real bonds, these real relationships. Then you go meet that person in real life, and y'all have a common interest. See, this isn't like you have to meet people at school or meet people in networking and trying to. These people you both got on here knowing you love DOA. You know what I mean? I think it is a great thing for me, and I think it's been the backbone. Online gaming really changed the trajectory, and it's why esports is where it is today for sure.
Were you rare in your community as far as your involvement with gaming and your access to internet and the systems that you had, or was there a bunch of other kids just like you?
Yeah, I'm definitely more rare. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? I'm definitely more rare. You know what I mean? Like, there's probably not a lot of people like me, but there's definitely people. It's a good question. I feel like there's a lot of people who are like me in the sense that they're normal people. You know what I mean?
Okay. Okay.
Uh, but background and climate and kind of like story, I'm very unique in the sense that I didn't have the resources to really get out there, and
Okay.
I did it. So a lot of times there'll be more people who would do what I did if they had internet to even look up. You know what I mean? Xbox Live, start there. Internet at that
Hmm.
time, for sure, internet was not in most people's houses. You know what I mean?
Okay. Okay.
High speed. It just wasn't. You know what I mean? Like
Would you say that in your neighborhood as well? That was rare.
yeah, for sure,
Yeah. Okay.
for sure. And I didn't even have it till I was 15. I think I got a job and I started paying for it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh wow, that's how you got
I
internet
started
because
paying
you.
for it. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I had a job. I used to walk from school to work to home. It was like school to washing pots and pans at the local hospital to walking home to play Dead or Alive all night. That kind of triumvirate is what I built my whole thing on, and so I get that that's very unique. But it just, I feel like there's kids who would have did it if they got that job at the hospital, or if they, you know what I
Right.
mean, like if it's just like I needed the job. I was making $160 a week in 11th grade. You know what I mean? Like that gave me the chance to afford 35, $36 a month in internet. Like most of the people around me, hell no. You know what I'm saying? Like they
Right.
wasn't having that. They was having AOL if they had a computer. You know what I mean? It's
Was
'05
getting the
for all you
job,
young kids
was
out there.
gaming the motivation to getting the job? Was that the motivation?
Yeah, well, gaming was like the first thing that I decided that I wasn't gonna be broke because like I just remember like I knew, I grew up, we didn't have no money, you know what I mean? And
Right.
and
Right.
it's whatever, but it's what it is. We didn't have any money, and I damn sure wasn't gonna just like come up on having internet. And like I always, in those years between 6 and 15, like I was always going to my local friend's house who had it. I was always a great networker, and and like being able to keep that one friend. You got to keep that one friend who got the good internet. You know what I'm saying? You gotta get over there. Shoot, my boy Chris. Shout out to Chris Benoit, man. That's this dude in Connecticut. And I used to go to his house and play that DOA. I had my own DOA 2 Ultimate. He played Call of Duty and stuff. You know what I'm saying? And
Okay.
I brought that joint over, and I would always keep it in my hand. Take the 2 discs. It had DOA 1 and DOA 2 in it, but 2 you could play online. And so like that was in '03, '02, that was like people didn't you didn't play fighting games online. You brought a fighting game to your friend's house and y'all sat down and played it. You know what I mean? This was like
Right.
you could jump online in Dead or Alive in like '02, '03 and like play 3D good looking Dead or Alive. It was just a big deal. It was a big deal. And he used to let me come over and play it. But flash forward, now I don't live there no more. I live in, a different city in Connecticut, and this is lower income. You know what I'm saying? There ain't no income coming through the household. And I decided that, I got my job the day I turned 16. I just got the job. I got the job at the hospital that day. I walked across town. I had the best job in my high school, 1020. 3 people in the whole class worked at Mid-State Medical Center. It was a hospital. And just like we worked in food service. They hired high school kids. You know what I mean? 1020 was the pay. 11th grade. I mean, that was crazy. No kids were doing that. The girls and stuff, if they got jobs, was in the mall, was like 8 or 725. You know what I'm saying? Or in McDonald's. So we were making good money, and it showed. I mean, 160. My hobby was gaming. It was like I'd save 3 checks. We got paid every Thursday. I'd save 3 checks. I got $400 or $500. I'd be able to get a little gear from the store, and then just like make sure that the internet bill was paid, and then like save up to go to tournaments and stuff. But I feel like the locals definitely didn't have that kind of job. I had that kind of money because I had a really good. I mean, at that age, I had a really good job, and my spending habits was towards this vision I had of being at that time like a professional, like worldwide gamer.
And where did you get that vision from? What did you see that said, "Oh, that's a thing"?
Online, man. Like just playing
Okay.
online, like playing online, and just like going to a tournament. My first tournament, my dad took me. I'll never forget. My dad and my brother, we jumped in his car and we went to Philly. And all he said was, "Just gotta give me the gas and stuff, and I'll take you out there." And I of course, again, I'm shoot 2 Thursdays. I got a couple $100. I'll give you the gas, and we'll have money to eat while I'm there, and I'll be able to enter and stuff. It was my first tournament ever, and he took me. It's like I'll never forget that. It's crazy. He got me recalling. Like it's like we jumped in the car and we went to Philadelphia. We listened to Lupe Fiasco's Food and Liquor the whole way there. That was it. Like once I did it once, that was it. You know what I mean? Because I knew I wanted to compete. I had played with my cousins. I had been really good. Locally, I was becoming the best. But like it's different when you're like not going in tournaments and stuff. And then when you travel to a new location, it's like I've never been to Philly before, and that's only 2.5 hours from Connecticut, so it's not super far. But for me, at 15, I got school on Monday. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I got school on Monday, and you're telling me we're in like Philadelphia, like all the books telling me like Ben Franklin. I'm looking around, I'm like, oh, this is crazy. Like I'm really here, and like I go in, and some of these people I seen their gamer tags, Hatrify and High Guy, and these guys who in your mind they're really good at the game and they're known in your little community. You know what I mean? Their names have come up. You've talked about them while they're not in the room before. Now you're here and they're here and you're signed up and you're like, oh man, like I know him. He's a Kasumi player. He's and you're meeting him and you're talking and it's like I wanted to be the best. And that came right out of that. I was like, man, I want to be like the one they remember forever, chosen one. You know what I'm saying? I mean, even when you select your gamer tag, you kind of have a hope or a thought, at least for me. That's what I could say. For me, it started as soon as I picked the name Chosen One. All my crew back in Stamford, Connecticut, they would call me that because I was young. I was always younger than them. I was always 4 or 5 years younger than the dudes I was playing with. Because I came up in the camp of we play Marvel till the controller breaks. You know what I mean? Like 8, 9 dudes in a room listening to the new, the new mixtape out of whatever artist we was listening to at that time, and 8, 9 of us in the room, mad hot, eating beef patties, sitting down talking anime and playing, whatever. Tekken's the game we playing Tekken today. Like Xbox Live elevated that because once I started playing, I took that worldwide and seen I was really good, and then I went to my first tournament in Philly, and when I went to that tournament, you meet all these people, and you're like, wow, like I don't know, it just clicks. It's like I want to be the best. How far can this go? You know what I mean?
Gaming, even how it got you traveling and not only meeting people outside of your community, but also actually going outside of your community.
Yeah, for real.
That's interesting. So how would you say gaming has impacted your adulthood?
Well, it's given me the ability now to obviously live off of it, and when I say live off of it, I mean like literally my knowledge is turning into being of value to multiple companies because now they want to know about the lifestyle of 18 to 24. They want to know about what is a consumer who identifies as a gamer. What is it that they want? Like, how do I keep my brand authentic, but categorizing them as a gamer? I want everybody's money, but I want to ask you how I get everybody, the chunk of everybody that considers themselves a gamer. How do I get them to authentically see that my brand is for them? And so, by one, being a gamer, and by 2, years of studying and understanding that this was a market that was growing, been able to keep gaming in my everyday and learn even more just about business and kind of business development and building relationships and seeing how different dynamics from the publishers who make the games down to the sponsors who throw events, just see how all of it works and see how the engagement from the actual players, works. Like how are these players taking this? Now that there's more esports around, do kids still have to go through what I went through. Does their dad still think they're crazy? And it would shock you, the amount that still would. You know what I mean? It would shock you. As big as it's getting, plenty of kids still have that. So I love to drop game and be available. I'm a content creator as well. Gaming's just been great to me in my adulthood. It's given me escapism still. You know, I'm finishing out my 20s, and it's been crazy from 20 all the way up till 28. And I just feel like it's always been here. And it's been here since I've been alive. So since I can remember anyway. So it is affecting my adulthood just as well, if not better than my childhood.
Has gaming been a negative or positive impact on your life?
Well, it's a negative impact, but it's a positive impact rather, but it has had negative effects. I think that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm becoming the most physically fit I've been in my life, but I definitely feel like I spent years in a chair. I spent years not being connected scholastically. I dropped out of college, and I don't regret it. I mean, I'm just lucky. My career has been fine, and I'm blessed. But I feel like, I think about it, if I'm being honest. You know what I mean? Like, was that the right move at the time? Probably not. I was just so influenced. I was getting on a reality show at that time. And I mean, that in my head at 19, I'm like, I'm going on reality TV. Not only have I broken through the scene in DOA and the fighting game community, even other players that don't play DOA know Chosen one now. Now I get a call from a casting company, and I go through 3 rounds of trials, and now I'm one of 12 people picked to be on a nationally syndicated television show. At 19, when I look back at who I was and who I was trying to be and what I thought, hindsight's 2020, and with my 2020, I'm looking back like gaming was a bad mix to the formula of a kid who needed to like realize, like, no, bro, like, you don't know shit yet. That age, being put on a television show and being told you can do whatever you want to do, and whatever. It's just like sometimes that kind of can be like a rush on like somebody so young as 19. You think you know everything, and even when being humble, you going from being a super competitor, winning tournaments, always believing this thing was big, always putting, I tattooed Chosen one on myself when I was 18. So it's like, you're believing in this thing, you're pushing this thing, and your grind from 15 to 19 is gratified with people in Hollywood that you don't even know telling you you're great, you're amazing, and cameras around you 24/7. It's like sometimes the gratification can be too much for somebody who, is not on the right time.
How do you personally feel about esports, man?
I love it. I've loved esports ever since I used to play for Madden in the barbershop. It's just dope. It's the great equalizer. You know what I'm saying? It's like it can have the same hype as Odell Beckham Jr. catching a pass to win a game.
Yes, it can.
Watching someone parry a combo and save their life on the magic pixel, 1 HP left, and watch them parry an entire combo and then link a combo into a super to win. Like, that can be like as heart racing and exhilarating under the right circumstances. And for that, I always love esports because it was the great equalizer. I've been a part of incredible esports moments, and I've seen some things that are just crazy and marvelous and magnificent, to be quite frank. And, I just, like, I can't say enough about esports. I'm excited to try to be a proponent to see where it goes next. I can't wait.
Well, man, Sebastian, I definitely appreciate your time, man. You gave us a whole lot of insight, for sure.
All right, man. Thanks for talking to me, man. And I'll holler back at you.
You've been listening to Gamers Wanted. If you want to share your story on how gaming has influenced your life, please contact us. We'd love to have you on the show. And if you enjoyed the podcast, be sure to like it or share it.